Good evening and welcome to Inspire to Achieve Global TV. And thank you for joining me once again in the Executive Suite. And this evening we're gathered together for our Friday evening chat. Actually, I can't believe I'm actually saying Friday evening chat because it feels as though the week literally feels as though I've blinked and the week has gone by. I don't know about yourself, but this week has just zoomed past. So yes, we've accomplished another 7 days of whatever, and we're here again for our Friday evening chat. So how was your week this week? Was it fun? Was it boring? Was it a mixture of things? Did you do anything exciting? What kind of results did you get? As you know me, always interested in, what was your plan for the week, and did you fulfill your plan? Did you exceed your plan, or were there things that you could have done differently? So this is a space for us to connect. This is where we come together to recharge those batteries, to really sort of relax and release the tensions and the stresses of the week so that you can be energized and ready to reconnect with your vision and your purpose and go out and do what you know you should be doing. So this evening, what I've decided to do is to actually talk about mindset. And it was really inspired by a conversation I had with a client recently. And I think you should know, if you're a regular viewer, you would know that a couple of weeks ago I was invited to be on a panel on national TV. So this particular client's husband had told her that I'd been on television. So she wanted to discuss with me what it was about and how it felt. And really, she was asking me questions around, you know, how do I feel when I have to put myself out there and go and deliver? And it was interesting to be able to say to her that I really don't think about it a lot because in my mind, I've got to do it anyway. So just get on and do it. But this is something that's been instilled in me from a very early age. And I was sharing with her that I grew up. Hi, Elizabeth. Thank you for joining. I was sharing with this client that I had grown up with my great aunt. And her mindset was one of, you don't say you can't until you've tried something. So I've always adopted that principle in that if there's a new challenge or opportunity or something different that I have to do, I don't overthink it. I just have a vision in mind of what it is I've got to do, what it is I'd like the end result to be. And then I get on and do it. And so I've had quite a few opportunities come my way just because I'm prepared to try something different, try something new, and don't really overthink it. I just go and do things. And, some things I've enjoyed, some things I've done it and I don't need to do it again. So this was the conversation I was having with this client. And she was, she's quite intrigued. And we got on to really sort of talk about the opportunities given to children and us as adults when you learn to master your mindset and by not overthinking things and having that attitude about, well, let me just go on and give something a try. Hi, Marcia, thanks for joining. So this was, this conversation, I thought, oh, it's quite intriguing. And I wanted to explore it a little bit more, which is why I decided tonight that we'll have a conversation about mindset. So Elizabeth and Marcia, I'm delighted you're on because this should be a fun conversation between us about mindset and different things that trigger how we approach things, how we think about things, whether we pursue what we want to do or we hold ourselves back due to our thought processes. So, please, as you know, this is an interactive platform. It's not just about me talking and sharing my own view. It's about us having a conversation together. So, I'm looking forward to you liking, comment and sharing. And let's have some fun this evening. It's Friday evening after all. Why shouldn't we have fun? So, yes. So this client really had me thinking about mindset and why I do some of the things that I do and the opportunities that have been sort of made available to me because I'm prepared to go and try something different, try something new. And even when I've faced people who've not necessarily seen the same vision. So I remember, oh my gosh, this is going back a bit, but it was, this was going back a good, 7+ years when I first started working as part of a charity, and I became a trustee. And somebody that I was working very closely with at the time, I remember them making this flippant comment about, oh, charity is only for certain types of people. And I thought, okay, that's your opinion. But I got involved because I was passionate about the vision for that particular charity. And that was the one to erect a statue. So I just carried on and I did what I had to do. And even at times when the challenges came along the way, the mindset of everybody on that board, actually, not just me, but everybody on the board, we all had one vision, and that was to see the statue erected. So we had loads and loads of challenges. We had obstacles, we had the naysayers, we had it all. But, you know, regardless of all of our differences, and we were all quite different, we had one goal, one mission, and that statue was going up no matter what. And because we were so steadfast in that belief, it happened. You know, we had to find different ways to get around it, but we did it. And that was such a sense of achievement. So all the naysayers, and even the same person that had said to me that, oh, charity is only for certain types of people, were all coming together to celebrate this special occasion, this historic occasion. So it just shows that, you know, your mindset is so important. When you have a particular goal or mission in mind, and you know why you're doing it, and it's for your greater good and for the greater good of others, what keeps you steadfast? What keeps you focused on the vision and prepared to do whatever it takes to make sure that it happens? So while you're pondering that question, let me read some of the comments. So Elizabeth's back, and welcome back, Elizabeth. It's lovely to have you back, and I'm so looking forward to hearing about your holiday, because the little snippets that you shared while you're away, I get the impression that it was a fabulous time. So looking forward to hearing more. And Marcia's saying good evening to Elizabeth. Lovely. I'm loving this love fest here. Let's see now. Right. And hi, Sheldon. Thank you for joining as well. So tonight's talk, I'm talking to you about mindset and what keeps you going, what keeps the vision alive, and what makes you try different things. So again, going back to the conversation that I was having with this client. So she was saying to me, you know, do you ever get nervous when you have to go out and be in the spotlight? And my initial thing was, well, you know, I just do it. I focus on the fact that I've got to do it anyway, and I'll move ahead and do it. But I did share with her how I felt last week, Saturday. Now, last week, Saturday, we had our big fundraiser for this other organization. And I was one, I'm trying to think how many speakers we had. I think we had probably about 6 or so speakers. Now, we had a first lady from overseas country. We had the High Commissioner from the same country. We had the Assistant Secretary General. We had another sir who was head of this, head of that, head of the other. And I was amongst this lineup of people. So we were all stood on the stage, and we're facing all of the stallholders and all of the visitors. Now, during the course of the day, we had about 1,800 people come through the doors. So I'm not sure how many people were in that hall at that time. But we're on the stage, and the first thing we had to do, we all stood there, and they played the national anthem for the host country. So their anthem was playing, and I'm standing there, and to my right is the Assistant Secretary General, to my left is this sir, and we're all there, and the anthem's playing. And I could literally feel my heart beating so hard that I was actually thinking, well, they must be able to hear it. And it was quite an interesting sensation, because you imagine everyone's quiet listening to this national anthem, and you're feeling your heart beating so hard that you're thinking that some people could hear it. And then after that one, they played the UK anthem. So listening to that one as well. And I was just standing there trying to keep still, thinking, can they hear my heart beating? Can they hear it? Can they hear it? Can they hear it? And it was just interesting, because that's where my focus went. However, I was fine when it was time to get up and speak, but it was just me being aware of the fact that, yeah, there was a little bit of nerves there, and I was focusing on it, but I didn't let it take over and stop me from actually delivering. So that was actually quite interesting. And when I shared that with her, she was in fits of laughter, because she was like, oh, so you do get nervous then? So I think, of course, I get nervous, just that I have to do what I have to do. So, it's the same thing, I think, with somebody who's really clear on their vision and what it is they need to do. It's not to say that they're not concerned or there are bits of worry that come into play. It's just what you do and how you cope with it. How do you stay focused on what you want your end result to be? How do you stay focused on the task in hand? So that's something quite important to consider when you decide to set any goal for yourself. How do you stay focused? And, if you're a business owner or you've got a team, sometimes you may be really worried that things may not work out. But because you're leading a team, do you show your team that you're worried? Or do you just focus on the next task and encourage them to keep moving forward? Now, these are economic times. Some business owners, they may be challenged with finances, for example. And I've worked with companies where, cash flow has not always been as they would like. But you can't, they haven't been able to just stop and think, get into the state of panic and frenzy and let the worry overtake them. They've just got to continue delivering, continue letting the business flow, letting the business grow sometimes, in order to ensure that they can get the cash flow in place so that they can meet the salaries, so that they can pay their suppliers, which then enables them to continue running the business. And these are things that you will face as a business owner. So, hi, Abraham. Thanks for joining us. Right, so Marcio. So Marcia is saying, oh, bless you, don't strike me as someone who would get nervous. See, I hide it well, Marcia. I'm the proverbial swan that's there. The legs are going 10 to the dozen, but I'm pacing myself so that I can get to where I need to get to. And it's been, I think it's a learned experience, but it's something that was instilled in me at a very early age. So I'm always focused and got an eye on the goal, always got an eye on the result that I'm after. And if that result is more important than any nerves I may have or the little bit of uncomfortableness that I feel at the time, then that's what propels me and enables me to keep going and keep moving. And that brings us to a nice juncture, because before I came on, I just, sometimes I come on here, I randomly choose a card from the Value in You. And I picked out 4. So I don't know how many I'll get through today, but this is one that I picked out, which was confidence. And again, I picked them out at random. So here you go. It ties in with our conversation. So a strong sense of self and purpose. Act to enhance your confidence. You know that feeling when you look great and you're about to do something that you do well. You seem to grow in stature and feel on top of the world. This is confidence. If lacking confidence, try reconnecting with an activity that you were always good at or loved and really get stuck in. See how that makes you feel. So again, my scenario last Saturday, I was up there not up for myself, and I wasn't up there about myself. So I had the confidence to stand there and deliver my talk, because by me delivering what I have to deliver, that's what was going to generate the funds that enable us to ensure that other people can have a future. So that was something that was far bigger than me. So why am I going to be focused on my perceived nerves, on my perceived discomfort that was going to last, 5 minutes? When the end result that we were going to get would change the lives of many, not 1, not 2, not 3. And I think at the moment, at the recent count, it'll be a minimum of 40 lives that will be changed because of the event last Saturday. So it's always a good idea that having something greater than yourself to focus on takes away from some of the restrictive thinking that you could possibly experience if you're just focusing on it from that space of, this is me, this is where I am, and this is happening to me. So I hope that actually helps and that makes sense for something else that may come up for you in the future. So when you've got a bigger goal, bigger vision, is it worth being uncomfortable? That's the real question here. And I know for myself, it's a resounding yes, it's worth being uncomfortable. Hi, May. Thanks for joining. And I'm sure you can connect to this and relate to this because I know you've had a big adventure recently doing a project that's bigger than yourself. And I'm sure by doing that bigger project, it made you have to step out and do things that you probably wouldn't have done otherwise. But you had a bigger goal in mind and it was a mission to impact and affect others. So this is what I'm talking about. With something that's bigger than you, how do you go, how do you show up? So that, that is key. And, share some of your experiences. So Marcia, you commented on the fact that, I didn't come across as, or don't come across as somebody that may get a little nervously challenged now and again, which I do. But, for yourself, what experiences have you had where you've had to go beyond yourself in order to deliver what it is that you're there to deliver? So, this is always a sense of, how can I be the best version of myself and show up when I need to show up? And I think that's one of the key things. Also, when I'm talking about mindset, I think it's always good to bring in communication and look at how you communicate. Because when you have a focused mindset that's more around possibility and what you can do and what you can accomplish, you communicate in a different way. And why I say that is because when you've got certain limiting beliefs, you will tend to be so focused on what's been done to you that your conversation and how you communicate is often from this space of, I've got to prove something to somebody else. I can't let anybody do to me. Whereas when you master your mindset and you realize that you do have certain elements of control, when you're then communicating, you're coming from that sense and that space of power, that sense and space of strength. So you're able to communicate at a level whereby you don't have to protect yourself. And I think that's the important thing. You're not so much looking to protect yourself. You're looking to see how what you do, how, the interaction with others enables you to get through to where you need to get through to get the results that you want to get. And as again, I will come back to, because this is, most of us here are either a leader, busy executive, business owner. So how do you communicate from that space? Say you're negotiating a contract, for example, and you want particular terms. The party you're negotiating with has other terms because you both want to win. How do you communicate with them in such a way that they can see things from your point of view and from your perspective and are willing to meet you somewhere along the line of where it's beneficial to both of you? And this is, it's really good when you've mastered your mindset to be able to communicate at that level. I'm just sort of thinking, okay, I can tell you another example. I was meeting with a prospective client and, they told me what they needed done. They'd had somebody that had come in, but the person couldn't deliver how they felt the person should deliver. And we were having the conversation. So as we were speaking, we got to the point of price. And normally, or previously, I would sort of come and say, okay, this is my price. But having heard a bit of the story and the history, I decided, rather than say, okay, I want this, I basically said, well, okay, so what were you paying this other person? And they told me. And it so happened that what they were paying the other person was well within the range that I was happy to take on that particular assignment. So it was just that communicating with them at that level that I got what I wanted without even having to mention a price. They got what they wanted because they got somebody that they knew could do what they wanted done, but also at a price they were comfortable with and prepared to pay. So again, because I'd mastered my mindset and didn't feel I had to jump in with a price and demand, that I get paid what I'm worth, I was comfortable enough to have the conversation from the premise of what is it that works for you? And I got what I wanted anyway. And hi, Pastor Roy, thanks for joining. Lovely to see you here. Today I'm talking about mindset and how our mindset helps us within business and as a leader. So I'll just give a quick recap in terms of, when faced with new challenges, with opportunities and possibilities, it's how we think about it and how we stay focused on the vision that we have in mind that enables us to overcome some of our limitations or perceived limitations so that we can actually deliver and still get the result that we want. And I was just sharing that last Saturday, when my heart was beating 10 to the dozen before I delivered my talk, and I was there wondering whether or not people could hear my heart beating. But when it was time for me to get up and deliver, I knew I had to deliver because I was there for a purpose greater than myself. And I dare say, as a minister, you've probably had a number of experiences where you've had to go and engage and you've just had to put yourself out there and deliver. So, do like, comment and share, because as you know, this is where we have a conversation. It's not just about me talking. So, oh, thank you. I'm flattered. So, the other thing I would say, and this ties into the example I just gave you with regards to this prospective client, is about listening. Because sometimes we can be so focused on getting our point across that we forget to listen. And even when we show as though we're listening, we're actually thinking about something else. We're thinking about our response. We're thinking about what we want to say. So if you can actually get into that space of realizing that sometimes you get more and you benefit more by mastering the art of listening. And as I was speaking to you, I'm saying, talk about listening, what's just popped in my head is a song from the Dreamgirls, because I love that song, Listen. So yeah, I digress. But, listening is a really, really important skill, because you hear, sometimes just by the way somebody's speaking, that can give you all of the answers you need to have without you having to ask questions. And, I am an active listener, but then I like to sort of know who people are. I like to know what makes a person do what they do. Hence the fact I do listen quite a bit, and I listen a lot, because I often hear what the person isn't saying. So for me, it's been invaluable to be able to listen. So, just practice that, try that. Maybe try it over the weekend, when you're in situations, just listen to what's being said and what's not being said, because sometimes that's more important than what's actually being said. So I will share that. So Elizabeth saying, good advice. Listening skills is very important. Yes, definitely. So, that's Marcia, this is a long one. Okay, let me pause and read this one. So Marcia is saying, I often have big dreams, visions and goals, and I go running ahead with whatever that thing may be and commit, then find myself asking the questions after. What have I done? How am I going to do this thing? But I deliberately do this so that I am focused to follow through without the option to talk myself out of it. Yeah, and that's a valid point, Master, because I know sometimes we can overthink, and in that overthinking, we just never get started. Now, I always say, and this is one of my little tricks, in that when you actually know what your core values are, and I know some clever person is going to ask me, what are core values? These are values and traits of things that are important to you above everything else. And when you know what your core values are and you're connected to them, anything that comes your way, whether it's an opportunity, whether it's an idea, if you can measure them against those core values and you get a resounding yes, then more often than not, it's worth jumping ahead and getting involved. Now, when I'm talking to people, there's other things that I actually say to them, especially with somebody saying this is their dream. I have like a 5-point checklist that I work with my clients and say to them, okay, if they can say yes to each of these 5 points, then that is their dream and it's worthy of them following. Now, when we're talking about dreams, the dream is not about whether or not you're good enough for the dream. It's whether that dream is worthy of you. Because if you're going to be the best version of yourself, you wouldn't be wondering whether you measure up. It's whether that thing is good enough for you. And I'm not saying it from an egotistical or arrogant perspective, but if you consider how special you are and the fact that you're here to do something purposeful, then are you going to devote your time and energy and passion to something that's not worthy of you? So that is the question. So I always have this 5-point checklist that I go through with my clients for them to really see, well, is this dream right for me? Is this the thing that I'm supposed to be doing? And if it is, then what are you waiting for? But if it isn't, do you want to invest that amount of your time and your energy into doing something that really isn't for you? And yes, I've been there and I've, looked at, well, I don't want to do this anymore. But then I've learned a lesson, or I've grown from whatever that experience may have been. And I can see that Robert's joined us as well. Hi, Robert. Thanks for joining. Hi, Stella. Thanks for joining. So let's see. Ooh. Right, let me see some of the comments. Okay, so Sheldon is saying that overcommitting is sometimes limiting as well. It may come from the space of lack of confidence in your abilities. True. Now we know, and I'm sure many of us have probably had a phase, and I know for a lot of women for some reason, as you're younger and you're growing up, sometimes being a people pleaser. So therefore you say yes, even when you want to say no, because you're more concerned about how are people going to think about you? How are people going to feel if you say no? But as you mature, you realize that, well, okay, my time is precious, my time is valuable, and I want to be committing my time and my energy to things that matter to me. So yes, Sheldon, I agree with you that overcommitting can be limiting. And again, because if you're overcommitted, how much quality time and valuable time can you put into any of the things that you're doing? So thank you for that one. Okay, and who's the next one? And Robert's saying hi to everyone. Hi, Robert. I guess everyone's saying hi back to you. So yes, right. I'm just checking. I'm not missing anyone's comment where they want to contribute to the conversation here. All right. Okay. Well, have a safe journey, Robert. And thanks for joining while you're traveling. So, right. Let me see now. Right. Let me just keep an eye on the time because I don't want to be intrude on anybody else's program. So yeah. So again, talking about mindset, I think what I will do now, I will share another one of the cards. Which one's come up? This one. Okay. So this one that's come up is on experience. And it says, in each new experience is a lesson. You have a choice whether to learn the lesson. If I can speak English, you have a choice whether to learn the lesson on the initial occasion or to continue to repeat the same experience over and over again. Continue to grow by learning from your experiences. Now, this ties in quite nicely with Sheldon's comment, actually, in terms of overcommitting. Because if you're a serial yes person, you will consistently overcommit and keep saying yes until you learn the lesson that it's okay to say no. Because if you're one, it's not for you, or two, you haven't got the time, then say no, rather than say yes and then later on you have to let somebody down because you cannot be there, you cannot do what needs to be done. And I had an experience this week. I had a board meeting to attend, but I also had a meeting with a key supplier. So I had to choose, which one do I do? And I actually went to the meeting with the supplier because at the end of the day, it'd be more difficult for me to actually rearrange that, reschedule that, and get to the same place in our work than to miss the board meeting and then catch up with other trustees to find out what I had missed and what I need to be working on for the next meeting. So again, when you've got certain commitments and you do have to let someone down, what's your mindset around that? And how do you do it without feeling guilty? Because a lot of people, when they have to make choices, they attach guilt to that decision-making process. And I think realistically, if you're making a decision for the right reason, with the right intention, why would you associate guilt with that decision? Because you know you're coming from the right place. It's only if you're not really certain that you would really attach guilt to it. And this may be even lots of mothers, for example, may feel guilty about the fact that they're not there for their children. They're not able to go to, say, an assembly. They're not able to go on school trips. So they feel that they're not doing enough. So there's that guilt that's lying there. But then the question is, the thing that you're doing that's stopping you from attending these, events with the children, is that for the greater good of the children? Is that for the greater good of the family? Because if it is, then should you really be feeling guilty at trying your best for your family and for your children? And do you communicate that with them? Because that's the other thing. It's really about how you communicate it. Now, okay, I was fortunate that I was able to attend a lot of my children's school events growing up and go on trips with them. But there were times when I couldn't. And the times when I couldn't, they knew why. And there would always be somebody else there cheering them on. So that was the other thing, making a choice. If I couldn't be there, I'd always ensure that I had somebody, where it was another parent that they were quite close to cheer them on and be there for them as well. And so there was no guilt associated with that decision. But I also ensured that we had the conversations afterwards so that they could fill me in on their experience and share how it felt for them. So, we do need to look at our mindset around how we make our decisions and how we talk to ourselves and how we treat ourselves when we do make decisions. So let me read some more comments because I know time's catching up with this. Right, so... Okay, so Sheldon's saying, does saying yes help you to grow and develop? Sheldon, you're trying to become a coach? You looking to push me aside and become the coach? So let's see now. And then Robert's saying, all right, that sounds very promising, Robert. Okay, so Marcia's saying, yes, Groundhog Day is a day, and she's had many times learning the lesson, sometimes on the third and fourth time. Hard of hearing, as my mother would say. But, the beautiful thing in that is you learned the lesson. And maybe you needed to learn it more effectively in certain areas than in others. So you had to have the experience 3 and 4 times to really get the lesson. And hopefully once you really got it, you didn't have to repeat it. And Elizabeth saying, we need to be confident to make a decision and to be able to say no without feeling guilt. Exactly. And again, if you're making that decision for the right reason, then why would you feel guilty? Somebody else may be upset with a decision that you've made, especially if you say no to them, but they're entitled to their feelings. And as long as you've expressed why you're unable to do it and you're coming from a place of love, then hopefully they will feel some of that. But if they really don't understand, then maybe you shouldn't have said yes anyway. So that's just me being a bit obstinate. Okay, and then Pastor Roy saying, keep your mindset on task at hand and God. And yes, we know you're spiritual and we thank you for bringing your spiritual blessings with you. So, and Elizabeth is saying, sometimes our experiences is always around our purpose in life. That is very true. And sometimes those experiences do open our eyes to different opportunities that we wouldn't have otherwise looked for or seen or be in the place to see had we not had that experience. So I totally agree with you on that. And yes, I can honestly say that certain things have occurred in our lives whereby had they not occurred, we wouldn't be where we are now. So yes, Elizabeth, I totally agree with you. Oh, Sheldon, you're not looking to become a coach. Okay, all right, I'll take your word for that. So I think we've come to the end of our time together and bang on time. So I'm not going to waffle on. So what I would really like to say is thank you very much for joining me today. It's really been a pleasure to be with you. And I'll encourage you to really just keep doing the work on your mindset. I know most of you that have been on today are busy, always working on yourself, always looking to be the best version of yourself, and are very helpful and supportive of others. And really, just spend that time with yourself, thinking about your decisions, thinking about your core values, and are the things that you're doing in line with your core values? Because again, your core values do also lead to your purpose, Elizabeth. So thank you for bringing up purpose. And it's been a pleasure, as always, to be with you on this Friday evening, so I can relax and wind down, knowing that I've been in good company for the first part of the evening. And I just say, well, you're awesome, stay awesome, and have a fabulous weekend. Have lots of rest and recharge yourself so that you're ready to have a fabulous week next week. And I will say that I am due to be interviewed by Pastor Roy tomorrow afternoon. It's around 5 p.m. UK time. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm not sure what sort of questions you're going to be asking me, but I'm sure we'll have a good time chatting. And stay awesome. And I will see you back here Monday evening at 7 p.m. for another session in the Executive Suite. Thanks for joining. And do remember, like, comment, and share. And stay awesome. Bye for now.